Hey everyone, this is Javier with the real Javier Novoa. Now I'm going to lay out the first action tip, or the first action principle in our philosophy. And that is, just move in the direction of. Put one foot in front of the other. Now, that sounds pretty simple, and it is pretty simple, and we all know it on some level. And we're going to explain why this is. In my last few videos, and we're going to do a more in-depth video on the levels of action, which is going to be sort of another one of our deep dives, but we talked about inspired action. And inspired action is the action in which you attain flow, you're simply pulled towards what you want, and either it's an action that you take which is almost automatic, and we'll learn on the deeper levels of being that this is automatic, that everything you program in your mind, it unfolds automatically. But for the purposes of the illusion, the action, you're almost compelled to take it. You are compelled, as everything is compelled in the deeper metaphysical point of view. But it feels effortless. It is effortless. But when you first conceive of an intention, and I hope that you're conceiving intentions that you have no idea how to accomplish, because it requires you to step into the unknown. And that's where the really delicious part of life begins to unfold, is when you start stepping into the unknown. That's when you start waking up in the morning excited. That's when you don't want to go to sleep because you're so excited and you're so in flow, and you're being pulled towards that, into that momentum of pure flow. But when you conceive of an intention, and you have no idea how to get there, what can you do? Now, bear in mind that hearing inspiration and receiving inspiration and knowing that it is inspiration, of course, everything's inspiration, but the question is, are you being inspired from a higher level of the emotional scale, or are you being inspired from a lower level of the emotional scale? Depending on how new you are to this material, it's going to take a while for you to be able to know the difference, to be able to distinguish what is inspiration and what is not, and to be able to take inspired action. So this is a skill, and like any skill, it's going to take time to develop. So how do you start to develop this skill? Well, you start taking action, but you do it in a way that creates as least the least amount of anxiety and the least amount of angst and the least amount of resistance as possible. So how do you do that? Let's say you have a huge intention, or you have an intention that you have no idea how to accomplish, but you're doing the imaginal work, you're doing the vibrational work. But then you can't simply sit down and allow that to come, because you want to contribute to that. You want to take action. So that in itself is a paradox, because we teach this information in order to make the less amount of effort, or the least amount of effort as possible. But if you don't take the action you think you should take, then you will generate resistance, and that in itself becomes inner effort. So that's the paradox. So what do? Well, you have to simply ask yourself, what would be the first step that I would take if I were serious about moving toward this goal or this intention? And then you simply take the next step. Then you see what happens both interiorly and exteriorly. You monitor your feelings, you see how you feel, and you see how well you're performing at that action. And then you see, are things coming to me? Are things that are unknown and unexpected coming to me? If the unexpected and the unknown is coming to you, then you know that you're getting into alignment with it, and that you are taking the right actions. And soon it won't be a question of whether or not you're taking the right actions. And at any rate, any action that you take can be lined up with and can become the right action. So what are we saying here? The very simple principle and step is, take the next logical step, perform the next action, walk toward the goal. You don't sit still, because sitting still generates negative momentum, because you're never really sitting still. Non-action is just as much of an action as action. And that's the paradox here. We do not take effort, but we do take a lot of action. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take an action, then you're going to have to observe the results of that, then you're going to have to course correct as time goes on. But once experimentation and course correction becomes a way of life, this will not feel like effort for you. In fact, this will generate a high, and this will get you higher on the emotional scale. So take the next step, take the next action, move towards your goals. You're not going to know what action to take exactly to move towards your goals, and that would be no fun anyway. So this is the advice. And a side note, what I recommend for anyone who's in business, anyone who's trying to accomplish anything, is the GTD system, or the Getting Things Done system by David Allen. It is a game changer, because what it teaches you to do is to grab all of your outlying thoughts, or all of your thoughts that you have not resolved. You write them down, then you put them on lists, and you ask yourself, what is the next action that I need to take to move towards this? And then you put those next actions on lists, so you don't have to keep that all in your mind. And then you're able to easily perform the next action. So the question that I always ask myself when starting a new project, or even when trying to get the projects that for some reason feel stuck into a quicker momentum and to get them moving again, the question that I ask myself is, if I were serious about completing this project and I had nothing else in the world to do except move towards this project, what would I do? And you have to make it into a simple next action that you can take in a few minutes. And as the GTD system teaches us, if it takes less than 2 minutes, it takes more effort to store that in your system than to do it. So if it's a 2-minute action, just do it. And you'll be surprised how many 2-minute actions you'll find that can help you move forward in your project. So this is just some advice. And remember, the first action step in this program is to move towards your goal, to take a small step that doesn't overwhelm you, just move towards it. And the universe will flow you towards that, and more things will come toward you, because this is all about stepping into the unknown. Krishnamurti wrote a book, Freedom from the Known. What we're really seeking in this experience is freedom from the known. Because what's already known, that's boring. That's why we're going out into these ventures. That's why we're doing business, or at least it should be. To do things that we have never done before, and to grow. And of course, growth comes automatically when we follow the principles. So take the next step, take the next logical step, and move towards it. And we're going to be doing that and talking more about that in the coming days and weeks. Until next time, this is Javier Novoa with The Real Javier Novoa. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you find value in my content. And also we have a Facebook group, The Real Javier Novoa, where we're going to be sharing exclusive material and case studies that are going to be coming up in the next months. So thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Javier Novoa, and I'll see you soon.